And welcome. Welcome, everyone. It is Angelo Robles, live, relatively rare for me, early-ish, kind of lunchtime here on the East Coast at 12:30 on a Monday. I hope you all in America had an amazing and wonderful 250-year celebration to the great United States on our July 4th weekend. And don't shut down that barbecue, although here in the Northeast, the weather's been rain, 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 much of the last, give or take, 24 hours. Oh, come on. You could still get it done. But today, this might be a grab the Ovaltine. I think it's going to be a long one, and one that has been building up in me that we talk about in my AI masterclasses, and some very prominent figures have been finally bringing to the spotlight in the last week. Effectively, your AI is spying on you. And I'd like to give you a deep dive and context into all of this and how this doesn't need to be you, and how you could be special, and how you can get tremendous advantages and opportunities. I believe for a family office, advantages that others will never. Once you get this edge in your mindset and compounding of your capabilities, the vast majority, over 99% of family offices effectively will not be able to keep up with you. So on that note, and without further ado, as I mentioned, your AI is spying on you. The frontier labs learn from every prompt you make, and how sovereign family offices and entrepreneurs, effectively, they cut that wire. Now, every prompt you're doing could be a leak. You need to own the means of production. No, Mayor Mamdani, we don't want to give it to you, the government. You need to own the means of production. And you need, as a family office and entrepreneur, to protect your alpha. Every prompt that likely you typed in or talked this morning probably leaked, not hacked, leaked involuntarily. Your analyst asked an AI to evaluate a deal structure. Your deal criteria probably left the building. Your CFO asked it to stress test a tax position. The position left with you. Somebody asked it to draft talking points for a hard family conversation. And your family's dynamics now could live on a server governed by terms that you did not write. Like, does that bother you? One prompt may be nothing. 10,000 prompts, you create a map to how you think, a map how your family and family office thinks, decides when you say no, and all of it could be exposed to something that could absolutely exploit you. And the attorney across your next negotiation may be preparing, we're going to get more to this, with the exact same tool. Hello, everyone. On that cheery note, I'm Angelo Robles, 20 years inside the command centers of well over 100 billionaire families and family offices on 4 continents. The most valuable asset your family owns is bleeding out through a chat window. Today, I'm going to show you the fix. It's basically called sovereignty, intelligence your family physically owns. I'll define it in plain words. I'll name the machines and models. I'll put dollars on everything. I don't think have done this publicly before. And I'll show you 3 things it does that will make you want it before you leave this session. First, and let's get right to it. Like, what happened this summer? It's been incredible. On June 12th, not even a month ago, Anthropic's Fable 5, the most capable, it's nice, AI model ever released. And I say that plainly because it's true. It went dark, not slow, dark, by directive, effectively, of the United States government. Worldwide, overnight, no appeal. 19 days later, it came back. Also by directive, capped, conditioned on the government's terms, including mandatory retention. Did you hear that? For a limited amount of time, mandatory retention of everything that you send it. The families paying for it were spectators in both directions, off by decree, back by decree. Not one principal, not one user on earth got a vote. And this is not just Anthropic's story. OpenAI's answer to Fable 5, GPT 5.6, Sol, S-O-L, by the way, it's sitting behind a federal safety review right now, available to a vetted shortlist that does not include a singular, as far as we know, single family office. 2 labs, 2 flagships, 1 summer, both moving on schedules set in rooms you will never sit in. I don't care if you're worth tens of billions. These models are magnificent. Later today, I'm going to actually tell you how to use them. The problem was never the intelligence. The problem is the leash that you're accepting to be on. Everything rented moved on someone else's schedule this summer. Everything owned, and you do not own those frontiers. Now, let's exclude that you may have some stock. Everything owned did not move at all. Now, the risk, no one in the industry says on stage. So, of course, I will. You do not know whether these frontier labs, whatever, OpenAI, Anthropic, Grok, Gemini, etc., you do not know whether the frontier labs, what they actually really do with your prompts. Neither do I. Nobody outside those companies really knows. I guess they don't want to talk. And that's the entire point. Now, let me walk you through the list. You don't know if the training promises that you check off that you're a paying clientele for, if those promises are kept. How? There's no audit, no inspector, no way to verify. It's an honor system holding your family's thinking. You don't know what they learned from your usage, even without training on it. Which problems you ask about, how often, in what order. Your patterns become a product roadmap for them. And that isn't just one spectator. This May, Anthropic packaged what it learned serving Wall Street into 10 finance agents. They're pretty damn good. And shipped them into JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citi, Visa. The institutions that fed the frontier their hardest problems now compete against the product those problems trained. They trained. You don't know which human beings can see your data. The reviewers, the safety teams, the administrators with root access. Your contract governs a company. It does not govern every person inside it. You don't know when a breach happens. Frontier labs are among the most valuable hacking targets on Earth, and a contract does not stop an intrusion. It names who you sue afterward. You don't know when the government is reading. A subpoena outranks your agreement. The vendor complies, and it's often legally barred from even telling you that it happened. You don't know what next quarter's terms are going to say, because the terms are written in pencil, revisable by the vendor and vendor lock, and revised. Now, after June, as we learned, you don't know if the model will exist tomorrow morning. Maybe none of it is nefarious. Okay, every lab is honorable, every employee careful, every promise kept forever. Fine. A fiduciary does not build the family's most sensitive operations on a maybe. You cannot verify any of it. And what you cannot verify, I'm sorry, like you cannot own it. The sharpest people in this room are already objecting. Okay, bring it on. Let's have it out. You, as I hinted, you're so trusting. You think your enterprise agreement protects you. Definitely not the free tier. I get it. But you think your enterprise, your own cloud tenant, zero data retention in writing and signed. Here's what you did buy: a promise, I guess, printed on paper, living on machines you do not own. Everything on the list I just read, the breach, the subpoena, the insiders, the pencil, the switch off, every one of them cut straight through that agreement. The enterprise tier upgrades you from definitely exposed to exposed only if they're promised their security, their staff, and their government hold forever. I had turned Tony Gebbly, probably the leading cybersecurity expert among family offices, on my platform last week. I'm sure, of course, you heard that interview. And he noted one family office significant with a lot of employees basically utilizing on company computers, entering important info, often on free accounts, not syncing together with a formal structure from the family office, trickling down from leadership, effectively one-off, using kind of outdated, weak systems with zero agreement. Then you know that they're training and learning from it, let alone having an enterprise agreement, which I think still, as I noted here, is going to come with many, many grave challenges. And that example that Tony gave, that is the norm. So the benchmark for you, the floor for you as an investor, an entrepreneur, a principal, a rising gen, definitely a family office and family office executive, is so low, it's actually not going to be that hard for you to creep out of that basement and head towards that roof. Like, I actually think by the end of this summer, like not even 2 months away, that you could be incredible relative to your knowledge, your capabilities, and your security protocols using AI. We're going to get to some of that a little later. I told you this would be a little bit longer form. So what I just described, the enterprise tier, upgrades you from definitely exposed to exposed only if they're promised their security, their staff, and their government all hold forever. No, that's not ownership. Like, that might be a nice apartment, but you're still a tenant. Doesn't that bother you? Am I the only libertarian who feels also that things could go wrong? That feel that a family office has unique proprietary knowledge, and I'm just bleeding my IP effectively to the cloud? That's unacceptable. The divide is not even really free versus paid. It is out versus in. Okay. You think this is just Angelo going off on a rant? Don't take it from me. Take it from the man. Now, this will get other blowback because some of you aren't going to like him, but take it from the man who built what, a $350 billion company sitting between the world's most powerful institutions and their most sensitive data. Alex Karp, a Palantir, just last week, asked what serious customers want from AI. He doesn't talk features. He says they want control over their compute, their models, their data stack, and their alpha. He's 100% correct. They want to know they own, as I started with, the means of production, and it's not being transferred to someone else. Own the means of production. Entrepreneur, own it. Family office, own it. You service the community that creates a living for you, your company, your employees, and you don't own it, it will be taken from you. If not today, if not tomorrow, the end of this year, next year, you need to own it. Now, he then hands you the audit, and these are great. 3 questions. I'm going to steal them and use them in my programs and my masterclass. And I'll share them with you now. Who owns the data? Who owns it? Are the prompts really secure? And again, his words, not mine. I just confirmed it in my experience and said it earlier. And lastly, is this being transferred to you? Oh. If your entity, your family office cannot answer all three cleanly, and almost none of you can, let's just be honest, not even sure that I could. You do not have an AI strategy. You have an intelligent, proper, intellectual property leak with a monthly invoice from these frontier AIs. Now, don't get me wrong. Fable 5 is great. I can't wait to use 5.6 for hardcore, selectively, carefully sanitized, deep reasoning, some level of orchestration. Of course, I use these models, but we're going to get to hardware stack, open weight, and structuring harnesses. I know I'm getting a little deep, but that still is a couple of minutes to come. I did tell you this would be a little bit of an intense one. So your family has run this leak long before AI. Banks you use, your consultants, your advisors, for decades, they learned your situation like on your dime and walked out every evening carrying what they learned. You paid them to become what? Experts in your family. So sad. And their expertise about you stayed their property. Your portfolio is an output. Your judgment really is the engine. A bad year takes the portfolio down. What? I don't know, 20, 30%? Nothing takes the judgment that rebuilds it unless you keep leaving it on someone else's servers. Before the build, two definitions, plain words, because these two terms decide everything. And most of this, the industry kind of uses them to really confuse you. A frontier model, as I noted, is one of the giant closed models, Anthropic, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, etc. You reach it over the internet. It runs on the vendor's computers, never yours. You can't download it. You cannot inspect it. You cannot keep it. You rent. You're a renter of intelligence by the SIP. And if you know how to do it and selectively and sanitized and carefully, it does have value because it is at the highest levels, the all-powerful. Oh, but we're going to get to the cost and other options. So you rent intelligence by the SIP. And the SIP, well, every SIP travels through them. An open weight model is the opposite arrangement. But yes, it takes a little more grease, a little bit more work. That's okay. You're not afraid of that, are you? So the lab releases the model itself, the actual file. You download it. It runs on your hardware, your machine. Unplug the internet, it still works. Do you understand that? Nobody meters it. No one watches it. And no government could take it back. Frontier, they're nice. I occasionally use them, like I said, but you're visiting the intelligence. Open weight intelligence lives with you. Hold those two words. The entire architecture is deciding which work goes to which. So sovereign is really three layers of ownership. The open model waits, really the model itself, downloaded yours. The metal, the hardware it runs on in your office, behind your firewall, on your electrical bill. And the memory, your family's institutional knowledge, compounding on systems that you control. Now, again, having been in the family office community for decades, having traveled the world and met and worked with and had as members and consulted to many, many families, including some of the most iconic families on earth, and seeing how this baby of AI is not even 4 years old. We're about 3.5 years in. And the progress really since October of last year, and then the last 3 or 4 months, wow. And yes, it is a little scary. And to be in the community this long, and some would maybe say a thought leader, like to be the only one who's this active. I heard my friend Jordy Fisher, who I think is the greatest macro strategist on earth, basically state it's not that other macro strategists are maybe not even more intelligent and talented and provide value, but they're getting so lost in AI, partially due to their their ego, their resistance, and the fact that they're not living. I live on this. Not just does it make up a large percentage across all the stack of my portfolio, something I may cover this week in a live, but I'm living through it operationally from family office structures, family dynamics, legal accounting, and so many other things. I'm integrating it and using it multiple of hours a day and owning the hardware, the open weights, and then teaching this to my members through one-on-ones, proprietary videos, my two well over 200-page AI books and integration, a little bit of a part one and a part two. And obviously, many of you have heard my multi-times per year hosted in New York and soon to be elsewhere in-person masterclasses. But you have to be a member. Now, there's a little exclusion for that. We'll talk about it to the end. If you're not qualified to be a member, but still would want to see the value in a one-off immersive masterclass, effectively reach out to me and we could discuss something that would be custom. So back a little bit off my other rant, open weights. So the weights, the metal, the memory, own all three, and there's no promise to trust because there's nothing to transfer. You don't audit a vendor's integrity. You effectively eliminate the need to. How about that? Execute on open weights for sure, and maybe orchestrate in some deep thinking, and we teach you how to do all that through the frontier deliberately. The daily work, the reading, the drafting, the monitoring, everything that touches your family's real information runs at home on models you own. And man, if you're an executive in a family office and you got your head in the sand about this, and again, I'm 60 years old. I'm not tech savvy. 2 years ago, started to kind of jump in, and obviously the last year and a quarter have been very hardcore. If I could do it, you could do it. And you probably don't need to put in the 500 hours and even the money and the challenges that I went through. But you have to. You will not have a job in a couple of years if all you do is look at a screen and you're smart, which of course all of you are. What do you think is going to happen to you? If not by the end of this year, by the end of next year, or early the year after, it's coming. You have to learn how to master this, how to use it, how to build on it, how to manage it. And then, no guarantees long term, we're all going to have to adapt, but at least you're going to have the security that I want you to have. So, like, the frontier you still use in the examples and how I've been laying it out, hear me use it. There are questions where you want, I admit, the strongest mind on the planet, and refusing it at a purity agreed is malpractice in the other direction. But use it like an owner. One seat holds working context, maybe even a Claude Opus 4.8. The other frontier model available under zero data retention terms, the orchestrator, when a 9-figure decision deserves the deepest read memory that money can buy, sure, escalate to Fable 5. Eyes open, now roughly twice the price, and they do a mandatory 30-day retention. But there are some times when, yes, it is needed. So it gets the question stripped off your family's identity, but never the archive. The frontier gets sanitized questions. The family's thinking stays home. That's the line. Everything else exists to hold it. And the economics, because no one is selling subscriptions. The economics, again, because no one is selling subscriptions, says this out loud. Rented intelligence has a meter. It looks like $200 a month, depending on the platform. At light use, sure, it is. But the flat tiers now carry capped pools of agent usage. And the moment you drive a seat, the way this talk describes, a little bit more intellectual of not just talking, but building, really building, you burn the pool and pay metered rates on the rest. A hard driven seat could land near $2,000 a month. It could. And you run continuous agents on frontier APIs in a serious family office, you might be $10,000 a month or more. You have to know what you're doing, how to be tactical and strategic, and really have to start to get the hardware and the open weights. Like I said, owned intelligence where I'm not on someone else's meter. It has no meter. The machine is bought once. The model downloads free, Hugging Face or Olama. The overweight workload that costs real money on a metered API costs electricity on your own metal. And watch what it does to behavior. When every query is free, your team stops rationalizing intelligence. A family office that stops rationalizing intelligence starts to find things. An entrepreneur, a company, no matter what you do, build it, names, machines, numbers. The labs, there's American and Chinese. Now, post open weight models, like on Hugging Face, the GitHub, so to speak, of AI, hundreds of thousands of models free. Often the day of release, a free tool called Olama that I briefly mentioned a little while ago installs in minutes and runs them with one typed command. The first step cost, the first step, maybe $3,000 for a decent computer, a Mac Mini, and Olama, which is free. One downloaded model, institutional grade intelligence on your desk, and not one token leaving the building. That is not a rehearsal for sovereignty. That is sovereignty. Small, sure, but real. Take the step yourself before any maybe internal forward deployment engineer, whatever word you want to use, arrives in your entity or family office. After you watch a serious model answer a serious question on hardware you own, this stops being someone else's expertise. And the desk has a full bench now, not just one option. Maybe a Mac Mini or Mac Minis, a bigger Mac Studio for heavier models, NVIDIA's own desktop AI machine, the DGX Spark. 4700 built exactly for this, or AMD's mini PCs, maybe 2,000 to 4,000. A MacBook Pro carries a real model, traveling on the plane. So sovereignty travels. These models, open weights by name, American Google's Gemma 4, that's Google's open weights, same research bloodline as Gemini. GPT, OSS, OpenAI's open weight models, American unrestricted, Nemotron by NVIDIA 3 Nano, the American overseas reasoner, plus the Quen and DeepSeek from Chinese labs, extraordinary engineering downloaded yours. That is the bench that, in my opinion, carries the heavy load. Now above then, we're getting a little deep here, so we'll have a little fun for a minute, then we'll back off it. The giants, Kimi K2.6, 1 trillion parameters, competitive with the closed flagships on the agentic benchmarks that matter most. And you probably heard about GLM's 5.2, appears to be the most powerful open weight model ever, and maybe just a smidgen behind Anthropic's Opus 4.8. That is the most capable model ever measured by benchmarks. Actually, even ahead of currently GPT's 5.5 on several long horizon tests. And there is an American heavyweight, also by NVIDIA. This one, the Nemotron 3 Ultra. Now, 550 billion parameters, owned outright, no jurisdiction questions hanging over it. Now there is an honest ceiling. Be a little misleading if I didn't mention it, because this is where families could overspend or underbuild. One professional card, NVIDIA's RTX Pro 6000, about $8,500 could run 70 billion parameter models at full speed. And that covers the vast majority, especially of execution of real family office work. But the giants don't fit into that. Run GLM's 5.2 or the Nemotron by NVIDIA's 3 Ultra. I mean, you're going to need a multi-monstrous GPU server, probably 150,000 and up, which for the majority of family offices initially is too much. Will those prices come down and capability gets better? Sure. But for some that are above the basic level, that see the value in this, that have the resources and see the value in compounding that capability and getting an edge right now, that for some can make sense. One rule, non-negotiable: never run the Chinese models through their hosted APIs. Downloaded, the weights are yours and nothing leaves. Through their cloud, the same model is a pipe into a foreign jurisdiction that you definitely cannot audit. Download the weights or simply don't use them. There is no middle. And the layer that turns models into really operational, kind of what the harness is, OpenClaw, the most adopted open agent framework on earth, Hermes, which might even be better at this stage. Not the time now to do that comparison. Definitely the fastest growing challenger running on your hardware. You have internal engineering capabilities, maybe building out on Pi. So, I mean, there's a lot out there. And yes, the open weights, the hardware, and some of this does get a little more complicated in dealing with the inclusive services, specifically of an Anthropic, which does a great job and has powerful programs that I do use. I'm just careful. So imagine agents that you command, even talking or by text from anywhere in the world, workflows that finish while you sleep, bill sequence, 3 words: skills first, workflow second, agents last. Reverse it, and I think you're probably buying chaos at machine speed. Now, enough on machinery. And yes, I leave you there with the skills first, workflow second, agents last. If you're not too fluid in this, a little bit of a, what exactly does Angelo mean? That's a little bit beyond the context of today's conversations. Become a member, read my books, and jump into the master classes. So play one. I mean, some examples like the lie on page 5, Friday afternoon, 400-page data room lands and the seller wants an answer by Monday. Oh, it's happened to all of us in the family office. Your team would need maybe weeks. Instead, the architecture reads everything overnight. This could be 168 hours a week. It doesn't take time off, doesn't sleep, doesn't get sick, doesn't have inter-office romance that could get you in trouble. Saturday morning, this could be a Friday the day before. By Saturday morning, the briefing is waiting for you. The pitch deck claims 40% revenue growth on that quote unquote before mentioned page 5. The audited financials say 38 on page 12. The credit agreement caps customer concentration at 30%. Page 47. Actual concentration really is 35. Every discrepancy is cited to the exact page, so your attorney clicks and verifies. No human reads 400 pages in a night. Well, maybe 1 in a million of you are special. No human holds all 400 in your mind at once. I mean, maybe you're an Einstein. The machine caught the seller kind of shading the truth before your team lost a weekend and before your family wired $1. That's one play. It pays for the entire architecture in the first run. Well, you want to play two? The founder's mind made permanent. Here's the question that should haunt every principal in this room. When you're gone, where does your judgment go? Right now, the honest answer, into the ground. Like, just being honest. 40 years of pattern recognition, the deals you walked away from and why, the questions you always ask, the way you say no, none of it often written down or contextual, all of it walking out with you. Sovereign architecture changes what death takes. You capture the method, feed the system, your family's past decisions until it reaches the same calls. For the same reasons, you build what we would call in my books, and we'll teach you, the second brain. Every memo, every committee transcript, every lesson compounding on hardware you own. And then 10 years after the funeral, your granddaughter's their faces a deal that smells wrong and asks the family's own system, how would he have thought about this? She gets the answer effectively from your reasoning, cited to your record. That cannot live in a vendor's cloud. That really is the inheritance. The only infrastructure, own the infrastructure that should be holding that. Lastly, play 3. The season that buries your team. Oh, come on. We all know these. Capital call season, of course. K1 season, 40 funds, a dozen entities, 5 custodians, every document in a different format. Of course, they all make it so hard for us. And your best people spending March doing data entry. They have law degrees. Oh, come on. This happens to every family office. We're getting a little nichey here to the family office problems. But drop the pile into a sovereign stack. The documents are read on arrival. Amounts, deadlines, wire instructions, entity mapping. Extracting, reconciling against your records, calendared, and flagged where something doesn't match. The capital call that used to surface as, of course, a Friday afternoon emergency now surfaces as a line in Tuesday's brief. With the funding source suggested, 0 tokens again left the building. That is the family's own financial autonomy. The exact material that must never train on someone else's model. And your senior people get marched back to think, which is actually what you're really paying them for. 3 plays, 1 doctrine. Execute on open weights, orchestrate, sure, selectively with some frontier, and decide deliberately every single time what crossed the wire. One more truth, and this is a very, very important one about people. This was never a technology talk. As AI enters, it's inevitable. You agree. As AI enters family offices. So why not start now and really get your knowledge up there? Besides the point. As AI enters family offices, the bar for acceptable work rises with it. Every quarter that you wait, it gets harder to present a poorly reasoned result because the room increasingly knows what good looks like. And the good looks like what the architecture produces. The only reason this hasn't hit broadly yet, the only reason, well, most family offices don't know how to use AI well. That will change whether you're in that seat or not. That train has left the station. This is precisely why moving now is the advantage. It's chess. The instrument gets stronger. The strongest players pull further ahead. In plain view, decide which player you are. And I know the real obstacle, it's not the budget, not the time, ego. The principal who built 40 years on knowing more than the room does not enjoy learning from a system that maybe outclasses him or her, in narrow domains. Let me tell you who doesn't, because maybe you do, but who doesn't have this problem. And I spoke about this before when I was out during Milken in early May this year in Los Angeles, the Milken, the giant conference, lots of thought leaders. and who I bumped into and what I learned from one of their confidants, that two of the sharpest deca-billionaire investors that I would know, well into their 80s, private equity billionaires, deca-billionaires, they work with AI 2 hours a day. They're 80 plus years old, 2 hours a day. They never asked whether it was beneath them. They asked whether it made them and their family sharper. Do not put ego first. Put interest first. The family, the rising gen, yourself, your family, who will inherit either an architecture they can operate or a story about why their predecessor decided not to learn it. So 18 months ago, in one of my travels to Europe, I sat with the patriarch of a European dynasty, multiple of centuries of wealth, and some of it, the family branches may have more than others. I mean, they've been through regime changes, currency collapses, certainly wars, of course, divorce. His family survived, or his branch, and they're a known brand. He told me because they always decided when the change arrived, before consensus told him to. They effectively built early and built well. The AI model that we're discussing now, it is at this very moment the worst. And oh my God, I got Fable 5, but it's gotten so much better the last couple of months. This is the worst it will ever be. And when it goes exponential, when it has recursive learning, some of my PowerPoints and programs talk about that, this will explode even more. Every quarter you wait, the architecture isn't learning your family. And the gap to the families already running it, it's just going to widen. So here's what to do about that directly. Because I think that's what you're paying attention to. Everything I named today, it's a system. You will not assemble it from simply a talk or a book or a YouTube binge. And the families who try may arrive a year later with a draw of subscriptions and really no architecture. The families who are serious, really serious, you have to come in person. Build it with me, my instructors, and your peers. So on August 12th and 13th in New York City is my next AI masterclass. We formally call it AI Family Office Masterclass, but even as an entrepreneur, a builder, a principal, a rising gen, for sure, an executive in the family office, like this is inclusive for you. We want the rising gen. We want your children. We've had multiple under 21-year-olds come through our program, some not even accompanied by the older principal or adult. Now, strangely enough, those are some of the ones that seem to get the most distracted. What is it with these young ones today? Nonetheless, let's stay on course. This is 2 immersive days. Face-to-face, no panels, no lanyards, no vendors, please. How embarrassing, working the room. My faculty, inclusive of myself, but people that are better at least at teaching than me, I think are the finest practitioners of AI and integration with family offices in the world. The seats around you, the one I did June 23rd and 24th was by far the biggest, and too big, my bad, about 2021. 10 or 12, I think, is the perfect number. The seats around you are true peers. Multiple principals were there in June, including from around the world in Europe. Executives, rising gen. We had it all. They're thinking through and learning and making some of the same decisions that you are now. Yeah, like do we build a sovereign stack? Sure. The routing, the harnesses, the second brain, we go hands-on. And oh, did I learn, and even my instructors, so much in June, and things I would absolutely do differently now. And revamping that curriculum yet again And the work that I put into my 2 books, which I update, by the way, every month, my 2 books on AI need probably 4 to 8 hours of revamping. After the masterclass, and this revamping is coming out, I hope Wednesday of this week. I'm running a little late because there's so much going on, and I learned so much from the masterclasses being hands-on and building that I had to make significant revisions closer to probably 40 to 50 hours. Like, it's like I almost can't keep up. You're going to walk in evaluating AI with hopefully some conversation with me as a member, access to my 2 books, some shared videos, including proprietary, to get you a little rolling and up to snuff. You're going to have so many questions, and coming in with a level of preparation and your computer and doing things in frontier models, in open weight, in knowing how to properly prompt and meta prompt, and how to have more conversational talks with your computer, effectively leading into the AI, which will be more natural for many of you, and building out skills, markdown, second brain, integrating and understanding OpenClaw and Hermes, really understanding the full suite at Anthropic and their dynamic workflows, which I gotta admit are so impressive. And what's going on at OpenAI, and where Gemini and where Notebook LM could fit in. This all comes into play. Is the 2 days enough? Maybe not. You get a fire hose, but you get hand-holding. You get instruction. You get follow-up. You get resources, including proprietary resources that my faculty is kind enough to give. And we have real, hear that again, real family office executives as guest speakers, often for an hour or more, often having gone through my masterclass in the last year and took the initiative and took actions. And some of them, what they're doing is more advanced than me. And we got many of them lined up for August 12th and 13th to make it truly a special experience. Now, as I noted, the masterclass, hey, I'm running a business. And what do you get when you get things for free? You get garbage. You get vendors. You're effectively the appetizer in the dish. This masterclass is exclusive to members of my private intelligence and strategy community for family offices called SFO Continuity. I built the membership so no one walks into that room cold. Join and I onboard you personally. Direct access to me, as I noted, my books, playbooks that I created, proprietary videos, resources, etc. Perhaps even, as applicable, an introduction to one or more of our faculty to really be prepared. And you want to bring a second person from the family office, all good. You want to bring a rising gen? Absolutely. We want to make it immersive, and we want your family office to truly learn. Yeah, June 23rd and 24th, we let it get a little too big. Good problem in some ways, but my bad. August 12th and 13th, we want 10 to 12 people, period. I got great instructors. I got incredible guest family office executives sharing their experiences. You will lead in to the heart of the summer, having these books and resources and hands-on with me, going into the masterclass and then still having weeks to go to the end of the summer. You will be a different person, a different family office, completely at another level, and partially to the benchmark being so low, and someone who's been in this for decades, who travels and knows, theoretically, thousands of family offices. You will be ahead 99% of some of you that really take action and start to build. You'll be ahead of 99.9%. You will be in a very, very special situation. Now, sure, the membership, again, you get my 4 days in Palm Beach, my programs in New York, Vienna, Mexico City, LA, other books, my playbook, my structuring a family office. It's not just AI, although, come on, I am the world leader in AI integration by a pretty wide margin for family office integration. Yeah, it's $10,000 a year. You get 12 months. You kind of own me. Every masterclass included, no upcharge. No upcharge. And I hinted at Alex Karp's 3 questions earlier. If you forgot it, rewatch the video. If you cannot answer Alex Karp's 3 questions tonight, okay, let me just say them. Who owns the data? Are the prompts secure? Is your thinking being transferred? You owe your family those 2 days. Go to angelorobles.com. We're coming to an end. I'm going to mention someone else. I know some of you don't like this guy either. I'm mentioning all these slightly controversial billionaires. Chamath Palihapitiya. Of course you watch the All In. You gotta love Chamath at least sometimes. He's making the argument plainly, and I really want you to listen to this. Really. Here's what he said. You cannot rent intelligence from the same place that rents it to your competitor and or peers. And don't think because you might be only a high net worth investor or single family office that in theory you don't have competitors. You do. You at least have peers and you're putting in the work and they're going to benefit from it. I think I may have to say this one again. You cannot rent intelligence, which is what you're doing in frontier AIs, from the same place that rents it to your competitor. Now, walk the mechanism. Stay with me because it is structural. When every family office in a field feeds its workflows into the same frontier model, every family office, in theory, converges on the same analysis, the same conclusions, the same insights arriving in maybe thousands of inboxes at once. The rented model becomes the great equalizer. And now everyone pays a premium for the privilege of being more alike. Is that why you're a principal? Why you're a rising gen who wants to be successful? That's why you're a family office executive. That's why you're incredibly talented, legal, accounting, finance, whatever, servicing the family office community because you think you're okay in chatting with AI and you're probably not really that good. I'll teach you to be good. And then you're using frontier models. They're learning and training, and yes, they are to some degree, on what you're entering. You're paying a premium for the privilege of becoming more alike. That's not going to be distinguished for you. Oh, the family office has lived this failure before for decades. Every serious family office hired the same tier of advisors, often from the same structure of schools, same banks, same consultants, same 3 law firms, and wondered why every family's proprietary strategy looked like every other family. Renting the frontier reproduces that failure, only this time at machine speed. Alpha is divergence, and the divergence cannot be rented from a shared brain. It has to be grown in a corpus no other family holds, in a judgment no other family encoded, on an infrastructure that no other family can query. The frontier model is what everyone has. The sovereign corpus is what your family has. You got to build it. The first is a utility. The second is the edge. And it is the entire reason this architecture routes the family's thinking home. Let me land where I started. Every prompt your family office types, to me, is a leak, unless it runs on machines and open weights that you own. As I noted, this summer, you've seen it play out. Fable 5 went dark by decree and returned by decree. ChatGPT's 5.6 Sol sat behind a federal gate. And not one family on earth, not one person, not one entrepreneur got to vote. Read that as a text story and forget it, or read it in the way a 7th century patriarch reads it, as the clearest signal you will ever receive about the difference between access and ownership. Your family's judgment is the most valuable thing it possesses. For the first time in history, you can own the machinery that runs it, the weights, the metal, the memory. Behind your walls, behind any directive, beyond the directive's subpoena per se, any pencil written term, any question you cannot answer about what a vendor does in the dark. Use the frontier when selectively the decision deserves it, but be an owner on your terms and keep the thinking home, compounding, where it becomes the word I mentioned earlier, the inheritance. Take advantage of what may have took decades or longer to build and will take centuries to exhaust. Own the means of production of your family's intelligence, or keep renting it and accept the terms. You will always be, and they will always be, someone else's. It's your legacy, your decision. Okay, I got a little passion there for an early afternoon in my double-breasted suit here. I got a lot of work to do this week. But when I heard Alex Karp's comments last week and read Chamath's, and I've been pounding the drum like the Norwegian World Cup team there, pounding the drum about sovereign AI for so long. And then they are just more eloquent and direct. And then I could kind of craft this message for you. I mean, who else in the family office world? It's a public face, maybe not a great face, but a public face in the community, has been hitting upon this over and over again. And finally today, really doing that deep dive more publicly. Now is the time. It's the summer. Some of you are off on multi-week vacations in the greater New York area to the Hamptons, other parts of the country, maybe Aspen, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, parts of Europe. It's awesome. I mean, I'm going to be going in short doses to some of those places too. But I understand also why Sergey Brin came back to Google, even though he's worth like 200 billion. We're in a very, very unique time. You cannot just take the summer off. You owe it to yourself, your family, your children, the rising gen, your office. This is it. Every day matters. I mentioned earlier that getting the edge now while we're in the summer and the world of wealth and success from the Greenwich, Connecticut hedge fund area, these managers take off and go to the Hamptons. Don't let that be you. That doesn't mean I don't want you to have some fun. There could be some 3-day weekends. I might even give you 1 week. But this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, even if you're a decabillionaire. And I don't know, like Sergey Brin kind of felt this way. And he's what, the 5th or 6th richest person in the world and hundreds of billions. He came back. Now is the time. And in a family office world and world of finance where the benchmark to this is low, the mental compounding, the legitimate compounding, the edge that you get now, me having created my own apps, my classes now integrating not just Claude Code, but using even more Bolt, .new, and Cursor. And where there's advantages to each, I could do it, you could do it. And I just want to make this easier for you because I do believe every day is going to matter. I do believe that. So this will be the last of the master classes that I'm hosting, teaching this summer. Again, August 12th and 13th in New York. Go to angelorobles.com. Again, I know it's pretty boring, but simply my name, angelorobles.com. And you'll learn about my overview on the homepage, about membership, which gives you the access to the AI Masterclass. And I think my third tab in is the AI Family Office Masterclass, which it's probably the longest page on my website. I probably actually give away a little bit too much, but it gives you the context of that fire hose that you're going to get August 12th and 13th. But you have to be a member, a family member, an executive in a family office that's qualified to join. Now, I did mention earlier, and we had one on the June 23rd and 24th Masterclass. I spoke at a wonderful program, Keiretsu, in Denver. I gave a variation of this. I had 2 or 3 people among 100. And one of those 2 or 3 said, Angelo, I got 1 or 2 questions. And he's like I'm in. It's not an issue of money. I see the value in this. And I want to get an edge on my competitors. And I have some money, pocket change, compared to the family office world, but pretty good. But here's the industry that I'm in. And although I may not qualify for all of the benefits of being a member, could I get your 2 AI books, some access to you, and access to that masterclass? And we developed a custom pricing. So yes, I probably only want to take one of those in each masterclass. By the way, he was very respectful to others in the room. A gentleman probably took the most notes and maybe the person that got the most value out of it. So I want to be of value if you service the community. But yes, it is something you're going to have to pay for. This is in person, immersive, and deep. And I've been in this community a long, long time. You tell me who else within the family office thought leadership world is this involved in actually investing into it? And at this stage, many hours, sometimes 12 to 14 hours a day, actually building with it and operational within my entities, Holdco, family office, and really everything that I make and I service globally in the community. Make mistakes every day. Trust me. Happy to share them. I'm lucky to know some incredible people that are incredible instructors. And like I said, like I did in June, bringing in real, pure, single family offices and executives out of often members, out of a courtesy to what they went through in the masterclass, what they learned, wanting to share their story, their challenges, their triumphs with others, their peers. Now is the time. August 12th and 13th in New York is not far off. Go to angelorobles.com. I hope you did enjoy this conversation on sovereignty and the fact that these frontier models, whether it's through the government, their own decisions, their board, a variety of factors, it just could be, you don't want to be vendor locked, rug pulled, challenges, API cost, prices going up, and you don't know. And no, you being behind AWS Bedrock, sure, that's a little bit of a level of sanitation and of kind of sandboxing. We talk about all that a little bit in my book, in the masterclass, but no, it's not enough. For all the reasons that I noted here, you are going to have to go down the road of sovereign to really be a dynastic family, which is why my private intelligence and strategy community for family offices is called SFO Continuity, for that word which many families over generations will fail to achieve, continuity. Thank you all for some of your comments. Someone noted your iPhone is spying on you. Yes. Apple and all these companies with a government subpoena, perhaps even without, the NSA, you don't know what they're learning from you. Apple may be better than some, but your comment is not incorrect. Now, I do have a presentation I've been working on that my members, I hope, will get later in the year. It's really a masterclass called Sovereign Risk and Disaster Preparedness. We go hardcore into cyber and what could go wrong when you have your computer, your cell phone, today's interconnected world, and how, well, there's a lot that could go wrong, but we teach you what to do about that. Thank you. Is it T.Y. McAuliffe? I appreciate you. Bill. Yeah, again, I know I give two examples from people, Alex Karp at Palantir and Chamath, that not everyone loves. I know what that's like. They're a gazillion times more successful and popular than me. But when you have strong opinions, where you challenge the status quo, when you throw yourself out there, you are going to have both love and hate. And sometimes I have love and hate for the two people that I mentioned. But I don't deny that they're not very smart, very successful, and I could learn from them. And there's many people that I may even disagree with from a variety of perspectives, but I feel they add value that I could learn from. Be careful about getting too anchored. Be careful about your internal biases. We all have them, of course, including me. And I look to learn from them. Examples that I give is playing poker. I don't have complete control. Part of it's luck. Part of it is playing the long game, knowing the strategies, reading others, and adapting my opinion, my hand, what I'm doing, as new information is effectively continually coming in. And oh boy, in the world of entrepreneurship, finance, and family offices, it feels like the biggest fire hose ever. And where are my peers in this community that are truly leading with original thought leadership, hands-on, immersive, and engagement? I know some of you, like 99%, feel I'm too early in this with AI for the stodgy, boring, vanilla world of the family office community. I'm not too early. I am going to be proven right. It's just a matter of time. But those of you that get on board early, like, how is this a negative? How? I don't get it. So I'm going to be, after being mainly due to my travels and the masterclass, a little quiet for the last month relative to my digitals across my platform. Although do watch my Tony Galebi on cybersecurity from last week. It's up on my platforms, mainly at Family Office on YouTube. You do got to scroll down to the lives, but it was my last live one from last Tuesday. But great to do this today. I will have others, and I will leave you with a hook. I have on Thursday live at 2:00. Now it's going to be recorded. Thursday live at 2:00 Eastern time. I have who I think is the greatest macro strategist in the world, and for sure, the one that's the most AI knowledgeable and hands-on building. And yeah, he's really exploded over the last year. I'm going to leave you hanging on that. I'll probably do a promo Wednesday night. And I've been working on, and for other macro thinkers and geopolitics and macroeconomics broadly, like a block of like 70 questions that I think are so good. There's no chance I'm going to get beyond probably 20 or 25 with my guest. I'll have to be selective which ones I put in. But if you're live over, we hope to have them for an hour and a half, at least an hour and 15 minutes. I want to do some audience engagement. And he is very, very fluid in AI. Certain things on practical use and operations, I think he's even more advanced than me. And the work that he's done on second brain and things like that for you AI nerds, oh, he's good. And on investing and the big picture macro and the integration of the new economy, AI, even tokenization, like, he's just the best in the world. And I get to have maybe an hour and a half with him on Thursday. And then if you're a member, he's joining me in New York in person in September for kind of my late summer forum. Palm Beach in kind of early spring is my baby. That's over 4 days if you're a member. But the New York one isn't half bad in 2 days. And he's going to be on stage for over an hour and a half and hardcore intellect and grilling. So much going on. And many of you are going to sit on the sidelines and have all of this pass you by. I don't want that to be you. I'm offering the opportunity to jump on board. And yes, it takes membership. So go to angelorobles.com, look into it, see the masterclass, jump in and be a member. You want to talk to me first, reach out, email angelo@angelorobles.com. One of the people that joined 2 days before the masterclass began and flew all the way to New York from LA without ever really talking to me. We just had 1 or 2 emails. Like, just jump on board. If you're the kind of person who hesitates that much, who's that guarded and careful, like, I don't see how you're going to be highly successful in what's going on in today's world and how our industry is changing. So it's all made available to you. We have the opportunities now at the AI Family Office Masterclass, August 12th and 13th. And you could become a member, and you don't have to wait to then to get started. You're going to get the access to proprietary content, the private books, and kind of a warming up into the masterclass with obviously weeks to go. And again, it's not just limited to that. Bring on family office structures, family dynamics, certainly geopolitics, how that integrates into sovereign risk for quote unquote for family offices, broader macroeconomics, crypto, gold, broadly stocks, X of AI, private investments. I've done that too, including as an LP. Like, I've been in the community a long time. It's not just limited to AI, but AI enhances and possibly not just a 2X in certain things, much greater, a 20, 30, 50X. And now is the opportunity. Everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. Enjoy. AI humanoid called me. Yeah. Yeah, we are going to see a lot. I mean, you might have been a little cap there and a little bit having some fun, but effectively you're on the right track. That comment, sure, it's an interesting world, and there will absolutely be a lot of deep fakes. No, this is really me. It's not AI creating it. It would be better looking. It would not make some of the, I still have some dyslexia and challenges, so I'm maybe not the most gifted guy in the world. What could I say? So I do make mistakes, and I think AI would be like a little too perfect and probably make me jealous. Never know what the future is going to hold, but for now, I enjoy doing these myself. Thank you all, everyone. I'm Angelo Robles. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed it today. We're going to have a great week. And again, keep a special eye during the week, but especially Thursday, where unless he changes it, we're going to go live at 2 o'clock and rock your world with an amazing back and forth and maybe a little bit of debate, although I don't really think so. We primarily agree, but I got to take the other side of the coin sometimes and push him a little bit to hopefully get the best out of him. And I got like a lot of things on my mind. Many of you heard my rant against Mamdani, socialism and communism. That's also up as a former live on my @family office. I put a lot of time into that. I kind of have a little bit of a part 2. Man, I am a capitalist and come from the most humble of backgrounds and not specifically inherently gifted or talented. I'm not even 6 feet tall, a little shorter. Weak people think the world is against them. Strong people don't give a whoop if it is. Everyone, enjoy. I'm Angelo Robles.